We're here. We're finally here. The top 20 of my top 100. It's been a journey. I put a lot of work into this list. I know I have some snubs. I already have a list of guys that I think, oh man, I should have put these guys on the list. They probably deserved it. And I'm sure you have your snubs for my list. But I think I did, for the most part, a good job. And you probably already know who's going to be on this list. So let's just go ahead. Let's get into it. But first, what's crack-lacking? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you're viewing this elsewhere, go to Broshmo on YouTube. You hit the subscribe button. Click on a video and just enjoy. What we do here, we enjoy. Also, if you haven't seen one of these videos yet, then let me fill you in right now. The only players that made it on my top 100 were players that played 50% or more of their offensive or defensive snaps this season. Just gonna cue it up now. That's why Matthew Stafford didn't make the list. He would have, but he didn't play over 50%. It just helped me narrow it down. Just made life easier on me. And plus, I think if you didn't play a majority of the year, or at least 50% of your respective snaps, or projected snaps, I guess, possible snaps, then yeah, I think there's more deserving players. It's just how the cookie crumbles. Thank you, Jim Carrey. But how I constructed this list was positional value. So quarterbacks I rank very highly, as you'll see as I start this list off, as well as obviously their 2019 performance. I don't care what they've done in the past. I just care what they did this past season. All right. And obviously how their overall value to their team, and just how their performance based on their position group. What do they do considering what position they play? So let's dive in. Deshaun Watson here at 20. Watson, he is one of the best and upcoming quarterbacks in the league. With him behind center, the Texans, they were never truly out of the game, except for one against Baltimore. I mean, just looking at his fourth quarter, like against the Bills, if you don't remember that, he literally had pressure coming from both ways. He got sandwiched. Both those guys fell. Somehow he managed to be still standing, and he made the first down. The guy was spectacular last season. Despite what Bill O'Brien tries to do sabotage wise as trying to be the GM, coaches shouldn't play GM, but he will put up the occasional dud here and there, but for the most part, you're going to get very high end play out of Watson. And then Danielle Hunter coming here in 19. He may be the most athletically gifted edge defender in the league. His 88 pressures were second. He also finished with 15 sacks. On top of that, he was one of the most sure tacklers in the league, only missing 3 tackles. Chris Godwin here at 18. And if you've been here since the beginning, since 100, I talked about how Mike Evans had to make a lot of circus catches because of the whole pre-LASIK surgery Jameis Winston accuracy was. And the same kind of goes for Godwin as well, except for Godwin, he had a higher catch rate than Mike Evans, like 17% higher catch rate than Evans. He ended up finishing 3rd in receiving yards, and he was tied 3rd in touchdowns with 9. He had a pretty good year. Aaron Rodgers here at 17. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm very upfront. I value the quarterback a lot, and I don't care what other quarterback you put behind center for the Packers, aside from probably the guys that I have higher on this list. This team ain't gonna go 13-3. Honestly, he will probably be much further down in the future next season in terms of this list, but there's still sparks of that sensational play. I mean, I go back to that Philadelphia game, was such a banger, and you don't see it now on the regular basis. And you could probably point to maybe Matt LaFleur's more conservative style of play calling. They're more of a let's set up the play action, and then we play action a lot. And if you're familiar with Rodgers, you know Rodgers just kind of likes to do him. He was without DeAndre Adams, I think, for 4 games this year. So there were points, but he's still very capable of leading any given team to the promised land. And I mean any given team since they drafted Jordan Love. This might be his last season, or maybe he's got 2 more in him. Who knows? Ryan Ramczyk here at 16. This season saw, honestly, some really good tackle play. And for me, Ryan Ramczyk, he was among the best of them. He was the best run blocker, and as a pass blocker, he only allowed 20 pressures, 0 sacks, while facing the likes of future Hall of Famer J.J. Watt and the rookie sensation himself, Nick Bosa. Stanley, sure, he may have allowed less pressure, but Ramczyk, he also played 200 more pass blocking snaps. So, yeah, just saying. I have him on high on here because I think he's the best. DeAndre Hopkins here at 15, and he may have finished statistically behind Godwin, but I think there's no receiver is more willing to go at the opposing team's number 1 corner than Hopkins. You could just ask Tre'Davious White that playoff game, the second half, where he was like, all right, screw it. If they want to match up White on me, then let's do it. And in the second half, he went for four receptions for 70 yards. Yeah, he murked. And White's no slouch. He's actually extremely good. But that just speaks tenfold for how good Hopkins is. And then at 14, I got Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, man, CMC, he joined the likes of Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. He joined that 1,000 club, got 1,000 receiving and 1,000 rushing yards. He also forced 75 missed tackles, 19 touchdowns. And in my opinion, there's not even a conversation. It's not close who's the best running back in the league. It's Christian McCaffrey. And you'd be like, what about Saquon? What about Zeke? Look at what the heck Christian McCaffrey's working with. And calm down. TJ Watt here at 13, man. He makes it. He make way, JJ Watt. Make way. It's time for TJ to shine. And oh boy, this dude shined. He had 81 pressures on which was actually 5th most in the league, and everyone ahead of him had at least 32 or more pass rushing snaps. He was very good. It all resulted in 18 sacks. And funny enough, he actually, since his rookie year, he put in 8 sacks. Then he went up 5, making it 13 in his sophomore year. And then this year, he went up another 5 and 18. So if he does that again next year, he's going to break the NFL record in sacks. So, bam, bold prediction. Bam, there's a hot take. Bold prediction, TJ Watt breaks the sack record this year. Get your popcorn ready, everybody. This one might be a little bit of a hot take. Tyreek Hill here at 12, and you'd be like, dude didn't even eclipse 1,000 yards, but he was on pace for 11 touchdowns and over 1,200 yards till he got hurt. But there isn't a better big play threat than Hill in a game. Nobody's a better separator in the NFL, and you saw this during the playoffs where it matters most. You saw it in the Super Bowl where it actually matters most. But he went for 9 receptions for 105 yards in the Super Bowl against what some would say a pretty good Niners defense. So yeah, that's why I got Tyreek Hill here. George Kittle coming in at 11. He's the best tight end in the league, in my opinion. I know some of y'all may like Travis Kelce better, but it's really a close call. I don't think you could go wrong with either. I'm not going to argue you. There we go. Words late. Sorry. Argue you over it. But he had more yards after the catch than any other tight end over 40 catches or 40 receptions. Receptions, same thing. Top of that, he only had 1 drop all year, and he actually tied Kelce in touchdowns despite playing 2 fewer regular season games. He's the golden standard for tight ends at this point, and he's actually a pretty darn good run blocker as well. Finally, we're here, the top 10, and I'm going to start with Julio Jones. He was once again among the best at his position, and I know you're probably looking at this list. I know we'll get to number 7 in a minute. We're talking about Julio. Calm down. So he's among the best in his position. While piling up 99 receptions, he went for almost 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, and every year he's just near the top of all receiving stats. And that was truly the same this past season. He was 6th in receptions, 2nd in targets, 5th in target share, 3rd in receiving yards per game, just etc. I could go on. The guy is just money, money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Zadarius Smith, though, here at 9, man. He was a big reason that this defense just became actually very good. Like, he was just a dominant force. He led the league in pressures with 93. Turned that into 16 sacks while facing double team on 48% of his snaps. That was among the highest. Oh, he was just a difference maker for the Packers. For a Packers defense that much needed a difference maker. Drew Brees here at 8. He missed 5 games, but he still finished with 27 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, while having an adjusted completion percentage of 83%. Yeah, people will want to be like, oh, the arm's getting weaker, but he is still among the elite, leading this team to almost 33 points per game as the starter. Yeah, Drew Brees, the dude's good. Okay, we're here at number 7. It's Ryan freaking Tannehill. And you might be rolling your eyes like, what? And you're right, man. If you were to take into account all the seasons past, then you're right. He doesn't deserve to be on the top 10. But that means you don't truly get how great of a season he had last year. He was literally the only thing that saved the Titans season. And he came 1 game short, making it to the Super Bowl. 1 game short. Well, I guess you could say 2 games short of just a magical season. I mean, I guess it was still magical. The dude got paid. But he's the reason this offense found stability. He had a completion percentage of 70.3, and that was while taking 48 downfield shots where he had 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He was actually a pretty efficient downfield. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill he put on a banger of a season. Am I saying he is top 10? He's one of the top 10 players in the league? No, I'm just saying he probably had a top 10 season last year. Okay. At 6, I got Michael Thomas. Outside of the quarterback position, I'd probably say wide receiver is the most valuable position on the offense. And mainly because you'd be like, well, what about the offensive line? Well, if you have receivers that take no time to get open, you could kind of scheme your offensive line. You could kind of scheme around that. But it doesn't matter how great your offensive line is. If your receivers can't get open, you're going to hold on to the ball for a long time. And Thomas, he was just very good. People might want to criticize his downfield production usage, but despite teams knowing exactly how the Saints were going to utilize Thomas, he still made teams look helpless. He had a freaking catch rate of 82.8%, a passer rating of 123.3 when targeted. He put out a banger of a year. Number 5, Stephon Gilmore. I hate to say it. I hate to say it because I don't like Patriots, man. I'm a Dolphins fan, but I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. The dude was great. I would say cornerback. I just talked about receiver a bit. Cornerback's probably the most important position on defense, largely because it's a passing league, and cornerback itself, it's such a volatile position, and finding consistency at that position is actually very hard to do, and Gilmore did that last year. And on top of that, he was always guarding the other team's number 1 receiver. He allowed 624 yards, only 1 touchdown. He was the epitome of a shutdown corner, a shutdown press man corner. And I'm just saying, Devontae Parker got away. He beat that butt on week 17. And we beat the Patriots. So take that. Aaron Donald, here at 4. Honestly, there isn't a scarier person on defense than Donald. I mean, you could take a look at it. Like, literally, he had, some would say, a down season, because compared to his 2018 performance, which was kind of almost MVP worthy, it was kind of a letdown. But he still had 80 pressures, which was the most of any interior player by a large margin, and he was tied for 6th among edge rushers when it came to pressure. So he's just some would say once in a generation player. Some would say. Russell Wilson here at 3. Yes, Wilson, sometimes he feels underappreciated because it kind of goes under the radar, or at least it goes under the radar how good this guy really is. He had the fewest turnover-worthy plays last season, and that was actually by a large margin, and is consistently one of the most accurate deep ball throwers in all of the league. The amount of times he kept the Seahawks in games last season, and I think it just goes without overstating just how valuable he is to Seattle. He's very good. I got him here at 3. Lamar Jackson here at 2. He's your MVP, but he don't got a Super Bowl, and that's why number 1 is number 1. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from what Lamar Jackson accomplished. He had the most passing touchdowns in the NFL, on top of he was 6th in rushing. I think he really benefited from a very, very savvy scheme by the offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. I think he really deserves a lot of credit on how he deployed Jackson in this offense. But, I mean, honestly, no team was hotter during the season than the Ravens until they met the hottest team down the stretch. The Titans, led by my number 7, Ryan Tannehill. But Jackson, he was great. He was phenomenal. It's going to be really hard to replicate that season next year, and nor do I expect him to. But, he really proved a lot of people wrong. Not me. I figured he was going to be pretty good. I didn't think he was going to be that good, but I thought he was going to be like top 10. Just saying. Patrick Mahomes is number 1. Of course he is. He may not want MVP, but guess what? He took home the hardware that matters. He took home the stinking Super Bowl trophy. He did what Lamar Jackson couldn't do. He beat the Titans. He went on, beat San Fran, got that title, got that big money contract because he is the best quarterback in the league. He is got one of the most accurate and just strongest arms. He plays in a system where Andy Reid is just like, go Patrick, throw the ball. Just throw the ball, Patrick. Yeah. Finally got, honestly, get Andy Reid that Super Bowl, though. He deserved that. Thank you, Patrick. But, I mean, I think this is kind of undisputed. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, you are number 1 in Broshmo's top 100. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And obviously, that's it for the video. Let me know who you think my snubs were. Maybe I'll do a video on guys I thought I snubbed. You know, which is kind of weird when you make the list and you're like, man, this guy should have been on the list. I don't know why I didn't include that guy. So maybe I'll do that. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.